Hello, hello, beautiful souls. We're tuning in to listen to your own medicine podcast. And today I have my beautiful sister Melissa joining us and sharing her medicine. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Vika. Thank you for having me.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful to have you here. And as always, I would like us to tune in all together into each other's energy and prepare ourselves to receive what divine has in plan for us. So please, if you're not driving, you can close your eyes and just start connecting to your breath. Start feeling the inhalation and exhalation. Start opening your heart, preparing yourself to receive, focusing your intention to connect with us and allow your soul to hear what needs to be heard. Few more deep breaths, allowing yourself fully to arrive. Feel yourself relaxed, soft. And when you're ready, you can start slowly bringing yourself back to the space, or you can keep relaxing and just tuning into our voices. If you're watching the episode on the YouTube, you can, of course, watch it and connect with us, seeing us and seeing our faces. I always love to connect, but why I love recording the podcast because it's just so beautiful. It's such a beautiful way to share the medicine because people are having busy lives in these days, and you can listen in your car, you can listen on the public transport, if you're traveling or just so it becomes more accessible. The medicine we're sharing, if people can tune in, it's just beautiful way. So welcome everybody, welcome Melissa, it's an honor to have you here. I'm going to introduce my beautiful sister and remind you all what we're talking about and why she's here and what medicine she's sharing with us. So, we are having the season 2 of the episodes, Listen to Your Own Medicine podcast. And this season, we talking about soul remembrance, how to remember who we truly are and what is actually soul remembrance. And it's such a vast subject and so many things and energies goes into it. So I have an honor to have Melissa today and other beautiful healers and teachers to share their medicines. So you guys can tune in and see what vibration resonates with you, and hopefully we're going to help you to open up more and more to your own medicine. So today we're talking about why the healing journey is so important when we looking to reconnect our soul. why we doing healing work and what it brings to us. So Melissa is a beautiful, beautiful soul and the most amazing yoga teacher. She is teaching not only yoga students, but she's teaching yoga teacher trainings, and she is the best. Her yoga teacher trainings always full, and she holds spaces for women. She holds women retreats. She has so many different healing modalities. She works on the voice activation. She coaches people, and many, many more beautiful, beautiful things to guide us on this beautiful healing journey, to guide us on this remembrance journey. Because I believe each of us, we come here, we forget who we are, and when we start walking this path of remembrance, and us as a healers, as spiritual guides, we feel the call and we start sharing our medicine to help you to start tuning in your medicine. And each of us, we have unique DNA, and this is what brings us together. This is what keeps life so fulfilling and interesting and magical. I just can't stop smiling. It just makes me so happy to have Melissa's beautiful energy today on this show, and we recording. I'm sailing on a boat, so I'm in Minorca, one of Balearic Islands, and she's, I believe, in London today. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to speak about these themes that mean so much to me as they do to you, and as I think to so many. I feel truly blessed to have the opportunity in this lifetime to share the teachings, because I think that we simply transmit the medicine. As you say, we are our own medicine, and it feels truly special to be able to have this conversation with you, and to know that it will be shared with anyone who needs to hear it today, as you were saying. um yeah, so much more to be said,
yeah,
but get into it.
yeah. Beautiful, beautiful sister, and I'm glad you just echo this beautiful thing. I always stress that the vibration, the resonance, what we sharing with the world, gonna reach the souls who need to hear it, who need to connect it. So as much as sometimes ego mind can step in and drop us into the masculine force and into this programming, more is better, you have to do more. I want to assure all of us and to remind myself and beautiful souls who are listening of this episode that we can't rush anywhere. There is divine timing for each moment in our life, and we can't force life as much as we want to sometimes. It's just not gonna happen. So invitation is fully to surrender and hear what needs to reach your ears, what needs to reach your soul, and listen to Melissa's medicine and tuning into your medicine, because I believe we sort of activators, like gate openers to each other. And sometimes we walk our path or we walk through life, and suddenly some people come into our lives, so we see the signs, and the direction of our path suddenly changes. Those aha moments start pouring, and we open those gateways to grow, to expand, to understand who we are, to remember this journey more and more. And it's sort of never ending. I know we're talking today about the healing and how important it is to heal ourselves, but healing journey, it's never ending journey. It's, we can't say, oh, I healed myself and now I'm awoken, and I don't know, I'm this and whatever. It's never-ending journey. We're just uncovering those layers and going deeper, deeper into our hearts, so we can understand this meaning of life, understand of our purpose, embody it really, because we came to this earth to express our soul fully, to have a fulfilling life, to enjoy life, and to have that fully embodiment, to understand that the pain comes to us. We need to experience the pain. We can't just, oh, I'm letting it go. Of course, let it go practices, they need to be implemented at some point, but we need to understand when actually we can use those practices, and when actually we need to connect our shadow parts and embody what we are. So understand what we came here to be. So my invitation today is I really I love having beautiful souls and allow them to speak their voice, their resonance. So in that way, you can connect and feel their souls, and myself as well. I always so looking forward for meetings, for those recordings, and to connect and to learn from you. And and I hope whoever is going to listen really going to love it and get what they need to get in that moment. So please spread a little bit of light on yourself, introduce who you are. I just introduced to kind of make, I don't like that word frame, because it like puts us in a frame, but we are spiritual healers, and there are modalities, what we're focusing on, what we're working on, what we're doing best at this time, but that doesn't mean it's not going to change, isn't it? And I'm sure many, many more beautiful medicines you're sharing. So just allow us to connect with you, with your medicine, how your journey started, and just let us to know you better.
Hmm.
Sister, thank you for being here again.
Thank you. Thank you for this rich introduction. I feel like you've already said so many things that I aspire to remind myself always, about this healing journey being a continuous cycle rather than a journey with a beginning, a start point, and an end point. Although
Yeah.
our human mind likes to function in that linear way, life exists in cyclical ways. And so the same with our journey, it is naturally cyclical. The earth spins around the sun, the moon spins around the earth. And so we often also naturally spin in cycles. And so the cycle of this journey for me began when I was living in London. So funnily enough, I'm back in London, and I came to realize that the life I was living was not mm, was not aligned with what I was hoping to offer the world. I was working in the corporate world. My job was very much it was helping people, but in a very indirect way. And that's when I did my first yoga teacher training. And from that moment on, everything changed. My perception of myself, my perception of why we are on earth, I don't think there is one reason, having said that, but my perception of everything, of the world changed. And so things that had been really important to me, without even much awareness about it, I did think that clothes and material possessions and accumulating experiences, all those things were of really high value. And when I delved deeper into spirituality, it did start with yoga, and over the years, it has really evolved to encompass also Mayan spirituality and other forms of other healing modalities. I started to deconstruct everything that I believed was important to to reconsider before deconstructing. It was reconsidering what I thought of myself, what I thought of the world, what I thought of life. And often this is a moment that can be quite painful, because if you're in a life that you no longer feel so connected to, then it requires some change, some transformation. And so that was a whole process that is still ongoing, of course. And I am now living in Guatemala. So from London, I moved to Guatemala, and ultimately, I don't think that it's so much the place where you live that defines, your quality of life, of
For
course, in
sure.
some ways, but your happiness. But I think how we live. So I would say it's not so much where I live now, but how I've changed my way of living, the way I connect with the food that I receive, with the water, with the elements, things that before were such a detail in a way, and we depend entirely on the elements. So my relationship to life, I would say, has
Yeah.
evolved. And something that you said, I mean, of all the things and the beautiful things you said, but something that you said that I want to touch on is, you mentioned the importance of being your own medicine. And I realized that at the beginning of my healing journey, I could really find faults in everyone around me. And I was really focused on them becoming better. Like I had a moment of veganism, and my focus was turning everyone in my family vegan. Like, how dare they eat meat when I had eaten meat a year before? But now that I had this big realization, I could see how wrong they were, and I was so focused on letting them know that they were wrong. And I have compassion for that version of myself, because I was acting from my place of awareness then, as I am now. And I can see now that is not, in my opinion, the way to bring a change into the world. The only thing we can change is this part of us that is so good at noticing what isn't good, what isn't okay. And so I invested all the energy I was putting out to telling people how wrong they were doing human living, and to say, wait a second, okay, how can I bring more peace into the world? Oh, to embody peace. How can I bring more love into the world? To truly embody love, not as a concept, but to really learn to love everyone. Really love, not in the sense of you don't need to be best friends, but can I feel genuine love for every sentient being? Can I really embody that? And so that's really been a journey for me, going from I can see what's wrong with the world and I'm going to tell everyone about it, to saying, actually, I can see where my faults are and how I can develop more compassion in my relationship towards myself, my relationship towards others, whether I think they're wrong or not. Can I really be this compassionate, loving human being that I want everyone to be? So that's been and is an ongoing
Wow.
and a beautiful one.
It's a beautiful, thank you so much for sharing that. I think I love those conversations because as sharing our own medicine and going through this journey and its ongoing journey. And, I feel I really can, go back to those when you said you was living in London, working in corporate environment. And, my journey was very similar. And suddenly then I realized, well, if, I have the positions I thought, I need to have. It's like we're so conditioned that it's not even a question. Like in my mind, it was like, well, I have to travel. I can tick all the boxes. I have to wear designer or whatever clothes and like be in London, go out, do all the things, see, celebrities, whatever, important people. And then, okay, I clicked the boxes and then like, wait a minute, my heart is just so empty. My heart is just so empty. And you don't understand at the beginning. You're longing for something, but you don't know for what. You just start realizing that this life doesn't have really a meaning, something deeper meaning. It's just like materialistic life, what we've been conditioned to have in order to be more controlled, so we can suppress our soul, live that disconnected life from ourselves, and continue being a slave into this, whatever matrix we living in. And for me also, yoga was the very beginning of a practice which started opening my soul, my connection to the soul, and showing a way that, okay, that just doesn't have any meaning. You have to find the connection with your heart. And I started also looking for it. And we actually met with Melissa online on the 300 hours advanced yoga teacher training. And, it was a time sometimes you feel, oh, you meet people all the time, but you don't connect with the people, all the time. And we felt very deep connection, and it was probably, I don't know, at least 3 years ago or 4 years ago, even I don't remember. And we reconnected. Then I think Melissa moved to Guatemala. You was doing a lot of traveling, and I felt a call to go and explore Guatemala and connect to the Mayan culture. And there was something what was calling us there. So of course you living, and like you said, it really doesn't matter where we live, but how we feel, how happy we are with ourselves, how much we allow ourselves to experience all the feelings and to own what we're going through, have the boundaries, understand where we want to go further. It's just such a deep and deep journey. And today, I know yoga was a beginning of, I call it is a healing practice, because this is when we um, start connecting to our energetic fields, of course, through physical practice, but when we understand that it's so much more than the physical practice, and then everything starts kind of surfacing, from the roots up, to the crown, when we find this connection to the our divine, to our spirit guides, to our essence. But in order to understand this connection, or other way around, we need to go and explore that muddy part of ourselves, that lower, more juicy, physical side of us, and uncover how much we carry from others, or how much we've been pushed into something, then that just doesn't feel right to us. And this is not who we truly are. And start shedding those patterns, start going deeper, and start embodying that unconditional love, isn't it? It's unconditional love. We start from ourselves, loving those parts which we don't like necessarily about ourselves. And then, like you said before, I love that you tapped on this, you know, we understand that something needs to change, but what direction we taking, and what we doing with all this baggage, what we carrying, and what we still think we are. We're not there yet. We're kind of not already in a bag, but we still have all this, luggage, all, those stones which we kind of need to move, to shift. So what we're doing then? And I wanted really, to ask you what yoga practice really meant to you. why you decided to, I'm gonna be a yoga teacher, because a lot of people practicing yoga, but not everybody becomes a yoga teacher, isn't
Yeah.
it? And especially now you kind of helping other teachers to teach other yoga students to teach
Mhm.
more students so they can find that connection with their body, with who they are, with this healing journey, which is so beautiful.
Yes. I definitely feel like yoga was the beginning of this journey for me. And I actually remember very distinctly the moment I realized I had to start the deeper journey, the yoga teacher training. A few of the teachers at my studio, a couple had asked me when I would do my teacher training. And to me, it just seemed like inconceivable. I was thinking, but how could I teach yoga? Because they seemed so wise to me. And it just didn't occur to me that I could. And one day in Shavasana, in the last posture, for anyone watching who doesn't practice yoga yet, perhaps, or not postures at least, in the very last posture, in the final relaxation, I had a moment of surrender, of bliss, of stillness, of pure existence. And in that moment, when I resurfaced from that, it wasn't anything, there were no lights and bells and, angels singing, as some might imagine. It was a very simple moment of experience my own beingness, my own existence, without a story of why it was good or why it was bad, or without a commentary, just for a moment. I couldn't tell you how long it lasted, but in that moment, when I came out of that, it was like the decision had been made for me. I knew that I wanted to give people the opportunity to experience that. And from that moment on, it was very clear that it would be part of my journey. And the fear that I felt before of not being able to do it was kind of felt more minor. I was like, yeah, but what's more important, my fear that I won't do it well, or giving people the space to experience that? Because as yoga teachers, we actually don't need to do so much other than provide a space where people feel safe and where they can breathe and notice their breath, feel their body. And that is really actually incredibly powerful. And it is through yoga teacher training that I understood it better, because I sometimes had experiences of going to yoga and in a posture just having a sudden emotional release, like a few tears, or just
Yeah.
feeling all of a sudden like a burst of joy in a posture. And I would, like in a frog pose, all of a sudden just feeling like this joy that I didn't know where it was coming from, or this sadness or something arise. And I was curious because I thought, okay, I'm always moving throughout my day, I'm always doing things. But the thing I wasn't doing was pausing. And so
Yeah.
when I went to yoga for the first time, and maybe I want to say like sometimes weeks could go past before taking a moment of not doing anything or thinking about what I was going to do, but just a moment to be in a posture. And those things that perhaps, when I reflect on when I was a kid, and I'm so grateful for the education I received, but often, whether it was at school or at home, if you cry, you're told not to cry. So you develop a
Sure.
mechanism that says, okay, bad emotion, block. Bad emotion, no. This one mustn't be felt. And naturally, what we do to stop feeling is we block, because we're told, okay, you should not feel. Feeling isn't a good thing, or and although even if that's not the intention, but that's part of our society's discourse, has been and is now evolving, fortunately. So I think yoga, of course, beyond the physical, um, is so much more than just the physical, but the physical practice, which was the way in for me, gave me an awareness of my body and my emotions and my
Wow.
experience of being in my body. Of course, we are souls, we are, multidimensional, we are so complex, but we live inside this body. And if we're not connected to this body, then we're not connected to life. So even, the mere fact that most of us wear shoes, and sometimes live, in buildings that are so far from the earth and eat food that comes in
Yeah.
packages, all of that disconnects us. And so I think this journey, yoga, really got me in touch again with I'm a body or a soul living inside a body on this planet that is floating in the cosmos, and the light of the sun feeds the plants, and I eat the plants that feed me, and without them I wouldn't be able to take another breath. So that whole journey was, from the simplicity of taking being in postures, feeling my body, to then reconnecting with just how incredible this whole thing is, how incredible life is.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's like the way you said, I love it. We so disconnected from embodying, from connection to our bodies. And I really bow to yoga practice because I'm sure maybe people can find other way to reconnect, but this is like finding that rooted connection to yourself, and that understanding that, oh my God, I feed from the sun like each plant. Nature. I'm the same like a tree, just I have the mind. So when my ego is quiet, I feel the connection, the bigger meaning, and bigger. I don't like sometimes the words because they obviously puts us in the frame as the world the frame, and we think more, it is bigger, so it's bigger to have more. But this is actually, I feel, to have bigger heart, more open heart, more connected to yourself, and understand that, this plant, feeds on the sun. Without the sun, nothing would be alive on this planet. And the way obviously this world functions now, it's like I was reflecting another day, seriously, like we travel now on a boat and we try to connect the plants on the earth and take them from the earth and then plant, in the pots, and then connect with them here, just build our little island. And then I said, okay, so, but we usually go to the store, if we're city citizens, we go to the store, we buy plants from obviously companies, but company has to pay people to plant the plants, then to pay the wages, to collect the plants, to transport them, to pay for the gas. It's like the circle creates another circle, and that circle, I don't know, does it create more connection or disconnection, or just kind of the same cycle, when we actually can just go to the nature. If we live in a city, we can go to the park. It's like I'm sure everyone can find the park. If you're not gonna find the park, you're definitely gonna find a tree and just connect with the tree. And this is what helps us to feel but I don't know, for me, it's like you said, the deeper meaning, the liveness, the happiness, everything is just like all the cell of your body becomes alive, and that natural connection to the soul, to your DNA, to all who you are, just has that blink moment, and then we just, okay, and we feel good. We don't question that. We don't question why the tree is here and I'm here, but you just feel good, isn't it? And I wanted really to bring this, and through the yoga, through understanding the energetics, to understanding our beliefs, how much we are conditioned, and finding those healing practices, what suits us, to deepening that connection. I think yoga teacher trainings are beautiful, beautiful tool for the people who feel okay, I explored yoga, like you felt is something bigger for me here. I felt the same. I remember when I came out with one of the lectures and practices with my teacher in India, and I just was saying to my partner, I have to teach others. I just like praying to the sun, I have to teach others. And Maya was like, oh my God, I have to teach yoga teacher trainings, just like written down everything, and it manifested like in a couple of months. I don't know, everything just kind of so I think not everybody has to be yoga teachers, but I think we all have a journey, this journey of remembrance and going on a mat, finding that sacred space. You know, I think many of us going through yoga, then understanding and developing connection with the nature, with the elements, understanding that oneness, that we can't have less water, more earth, or we can't have less air and more fire. Like we function, then everything is in balance when we feel good, when we feel a drive of life, when we feel a joy of life, when we want to share, when we want to connect. We don't feel depressed, we don't feel disconnection. You know, sometimes, I don't know, for me personally, when I'm not balanced, I really immediately build a wall. Okay, I don't want to be here. I just don't want to be connected. I just don't want anything. I'm just going in my shell and I'm just kind of, you know, bringing that armor to my heart, you know, thinking based on the previous patterns, experiences, thinking that I'm going to protect myself, but actually I'm just going to separate myself. When we do the healing work, we understand that that is coming because it's possible to heal certain things, but I don't know, from my experience, they come back. You know, we cyclical beings, and you know, certain things when our nervous system is triggered brings taps into different parts of those pockets what we have in our subconscious mind and our nervous system, and they get triggered and it comes back, and then the mind comes, oh, but I healed that and now it hurts even more. Isn't it? So it's like I really wanted to hear what you think about it, and I'm sure you taught so many yoga teacher trainings, and it's just so beautiful, and I only can imagine how it feels when the person leaves, you know, yoga teacher training, graduated. I got a chance to teach a yoga teacher training last year in Bali, and you know, seeing that transformation and growing with students together and seeing the transformation and you know of them, oh my God, my life just has changed in that, you know, 3 weeks or 4 weeks time.
Mhm.
How
How?
how you do that, how you do that?
Yes, you touched on so many important points. The first thing I wanna talk about is teacher training. I think the name is kind of confusing because it means training to become a teacher. When in reality, as you and I and anyone who's completed a yoga teacher training will know that it's so much more than that. Because of course you learn to teach yoga on the way, but it's actually a pause in your everyday life. And in that pause, you're dedicating, in our trainings, we dedicate 2.5 hours in the morning to practice. And funnily enough, often when people haven't done a training with us and say 2.5 hours sounds like a really long time. And at the end of the training, people often say, that's what I will miss the most. Because there is a perception that I've heard of people that yoga is difficult and hard and painful, and it can be, but it can also be relaxing and joyful and blissful. And sometimes it can be both in the same practice. And one day might be more one than the other. But ultimately, it's a moment where you get to connect with that depth of your being is so much more than the stories and the likes and the dislikes and just this pure part of us. Not to say that all the parts of us aren't divine, because everything that we are is an emanation of this original Big Bang. So it's all divine. It's all part of creation. Um, but when I look around me, and more so, I would say in London, I have noticed this, or talking to people, a lot of people live with chronic anxiety, with chronic depression, and don't have the space to question why that is, don't have the opportunity to reflect and ask, is this the only way that life can be lived? In a constant state of concern, of anxiety, of fear. And I experienced that at one point as well. And and now I just want to say to everyone, no, it's not how it has to be. It is the case for many people on planet Earth at this moment of existence, but it's not that it has to be this way. Um, I think a lot of that comes from the disconnection to what we really are, because we get caught up in the idea that we are this little me and that we are so important and that everything happens to us and that we should be able to control. And that perception, that illusion, causes so much suffering. And in suffering, there can also be lessons, and the healing journey can also reveal actually a depth that suffering brings on in a way. So it's not to say that suffering should be avoided or rejected, but sometimes I do believe there is unnecessary suffering. And I think yoga teacher training is the perfect opportunity to pause and question everything. And really, when we do the teacher training, so another dear sister and I, Rachel, we do the trainings together, and we aspire to encourage people to question rather than telling them what to believe or how to practice. You know, there are guidelines, there are suggestions and invitations, but really we truly believe that the deepest part of the work can only be done by each individual. And as you say, within 3 weeks, it's incredible to see what can happen. And I'll use a small example: someone coming in a teacher training and saying, I'm here, but I don't want to teach. I don't like singing, I don't like dancing, and that's just the way it is. And at the end of the 3 weeks, the same person saying, I am so excited to teach my friends and my family, singing their heart out and dancing. Really, not because they're forced, because we don't force anyone to do anything, but really expressing themselves freely and asking that person, you know, could you share about what happened? What was the shift? And often, because this is not just one person, it's something, a recurrent thing that we see and that we witness. And it's so beautiful to witness, because often it'll be something along the lines of, I realized I had a belief that I didn't like singing. I had a belief that I couldn't dance. And so I didn't allow myself. And for that person in that moment to realize that they weren't living fully because they thought they shouldn't or couldn't, to then stepping into the world, embodying life, embodying joy. This doesn't mean that when we're on the spiritual path we don't experience loss and grief and sadness and anger, of course, but we know that we are allowed to experience everything. The full array of emotions is accessible to us. Yeah, and that is such a beautiful journey to go on, to witness,
Wow.
guide.
Wow, my heart is just like, oh, I want to dance now. Just take my clothes off, whatever. Jumping into the sea. Yeah, it's a beautiful when you understand that we are free. We are capable, we are limitless beings. The only limitation, what we do to ourselves, we put ourselves into that frame. We do put ourselves with those limiting beliefs. And, because they came from most of the time early stage of our ages, not necessarily even, from us, it's from other people telling us certain things, at school or, families or whatever, friends when we were small, and we only been taking in and creating that new system. And then, okay, so dancing is not good, or I'm not good enough to dance, or this is for somebody else. This is just for those girls, not for me. Singing is not good because my voice is terrible. I can't sing. But then you think, we came here to this planet to use our voice, and this is the recognition how we have unique DNA, and this is how we express ourselves. And then we sing, we connect in such a beautiful way. We sing our souls out. And you said you coach on the vocal expression, on do encourage and help people to find their voices, which is especially, I think, for us women, it's been such a big embedded experience. It's like in our wombs, in our, like, it's like collective, you know women, they are not good enough to speak because, okay, they making those babies, cooking, and that's it. And if you would go and sing in the cave, nobody would know about it, you know everything was in a secret. So we all still carrying all those, you know heavy, heavy weights on our shoulders. And of course, it's a long healing journey to overcome that and understand that, oh my God, my voice is my power. My body is my power. This is the way I move. This is the way I express myself. This is the way I speak. This is the way I call on to another sister.
You were also mentioning about the voice activation, so I want to echo that our voice is just as unique as our face or our thumbprint, as our vulva. It's who we are. It's us. And so to limit our expression is to not allow that unique expression to be released, to exist. And this is somehow related, not directly, but it feels like a moment to share this. I was watching a documentary with my partner yesterday on the creation of the universe and the existence of time. And in it, the person speaking said that at the moment, 95% of all the stars that will exist have been born. So 95% of stars in the sky already exist. Um, and that at some point, those stars will be dying because that's the natural cycle of life. Stars are born and then they die. So the moment we are
Yeah,
living really in the brightest moment of the universe existence. This is the moment where there are almost the most stars there will ever be. And at some point, those stars will start to die. And at some point, it will be at the moment we are in the era of light and the era of stars. And there will be a moment where it will be the era of darkness when all the stars start to die. And there are mostly will be the era of black holes. And it's not to make one thing good or bad, but to think that some of us limit our expression because we think that it's not perfect enough or beautiful enough. And this is it, and it's now, right? Like this is such
it
a
is
moment
now.
of existence.
Oh, it gives me shivers, sister. It's just like I really want to echo on this because we are living on the sea, on the ocean, and you come out at night. And last night, a few nights before, when we had full moon, it was bright and nice. And then yesterday it was so dark, and then you think like, oh my God, and it just makes you, to think and connect in this way. But wait a minute, day before it was so much light, now it's so much darkness. And you understand that this journey on this earth is like a small blink. just small blink. And then how long we're gonna keep like thinking, oh, I can't speak up, I can't show up, I want to dance, but I'm not gonna do that. Then I'm gonna, I don't know, lose weight or buy better clothes or do whatever or go somewhere and then I can, yeah, sometimes, some journey supports us and make our hearts to open up more and share ourselves more. Yeah, they support us, like the healing journeys, like yoga teacher training, wherever you feel connected. Like, we can tap a little bit. I would love to invite you to share a little bit about Mayan culture, how you found yourself landing there in Guatemala and being and living surrounded by, uh, Mayan people, how they see their life, how much joy they have, what their what perception of life they have. Most of them, we all are different, we can't just place this is a culture and everybody's doing that. But yeah, it's just so many ways to contribute ourselves to make that soul's expression brighter, to shine brighter, especially this is a time, we need to shine. And I think us seeing this movement that a lot of people are awakening to those powers, they start seeing that, okay, this is a little bit old paradigm to go to work, serve, and like, be conscious what I'm saying, suppress myself. I'm not saying it's bad to go to work and do anything, if you own it, if this is what fulfills your soul, if you feel this is your purpose, that is beautiful. That is just so, so amazing. But if you feel that you are trapped, if you feel that your soul can't express herself and find this joy, and if you're not getting up in the morning, you're waking up and dreading for the day, this is a time then decision need to be made to move to find that path and you can live life, fulfilling life. It's not like you're not gonna cry. It's not like you're not gonna have, challenging moments. It's, yes, we live on a boat, we travel, we see beautiful places, we connected to the nature, and it seems it's beautiful and I'm grateful. But when there is another part, how two people live in one space 24/7, how how much healing work you have to be done before you arrive into the space, and then you mirror each other, you mirror those, you witnessing the patterns coming up, your nervous system is so triggered because so many challenging moments. Every day is a new day, new moments, new things not going right 95% of your day. So you're constantly kicked out of your comfort zone. So you constantly, you're growing. Yeah, this is amazing, I can say now, but you have to go through it. So like in life, we choose to travel, to live abroad, but when we lose connection with family in a way, well, we're not losing connection, but we can't see them that often. You know, we lose the friends we had, the community may be there. There is, then again, we're adapting into new cultures, we're learning how to live there, and then we decide maybe we move again. And it's like, it's so many, of course, I just put the examples of the life we living, but it's the same with going to the office. You can go to the office or, being a school teacher, 9 to 5 or whatever it is. If you're going dreading and hating everything, well, that's just not right thing. But if you're going with intention to help and putting yourself out with as much as possible coming from the heart, from that love, and actually owning it and understanding the intention why you're doing this and trying to find the joy. Well, this is completely different, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Whew.
This yes, I'm like, yes, to everything you
Wow.
said. And the first thing that comes to heart is just a couple of days I was listening to an Aki, a Mayan shaman, speak about the energy of the day, and it was Ke. And something really stuck with me that he said. He was saying, only you can be the best at being you. And you can't be the best at being anyone else. So you might as well be you. Something along those lines, as you were talking about mind spirituality and this theme, right? Of we naturally seem to, so that this I think is a natural human tendency. We look around, and if we see someone that we perceive to be succeeding, I say perceive because we don't know, especially if we're following social media, we're buying into the idea that we are being sold in a sense. No judgment on that. Of course, most people show the best parts of their life. You know, that's kind of the concept. That's how it was created. And so people get into this habit of sharing the best bits, and then other people see the best bits of other people's lives and think, well, they seem to be happy. Maybe they're happy because they live abroad. Maybe that's what it is. Um, and sometimes someone might think, well, if only if I was able to do that, then I would be happier. And if they are able to do it, then they might discover that actually it wasn't that at all. It's more because we're trying to follow someone else's blueprint, and we each have our own blueprint. And so part of the message that I have heard in Mayan ceremonies is this idea of living, following your path. Be you. Express yourself as you. Take the role that you need to take in your community. And so I think that is such a simple yet powerful message of connecting. And, you know, the whole topic of your podcast, soul remembrance. Your soul is unique. There is no other soul that is exactly like yours. And I wish I could say this to me, you know, 10 years ago, thinking like, should I do a master's? What should I do it in? And I had no idea. I had no sense of self, I very much had a sense of self, like a constructed self, but not of self
Exactly. Yeah.
of svadharma, right? This sense of like, what is my
Yeah.
purpose in this life? And I think it can take a whole lifetime to discover it. But rather than following obediently without questioning why we are doing what we're doing, which many of us do. I mean, you and I did. So it's not to say, you know, oh, silly humans, why do you do this? It's, of course, we do this because school programs us to think a certain way, programs us to think that, like I was saying in the beginning, you know, material things are success. Having accumulating experiences are success. When if you were to ask, I imagine a Mayan shaman what success is, they would say to take as little from the land as possible, to be of service in your community, to be a guide for those who need a guide, to provide depending on your energy. Of course, you'll have a different role in the community, but I really appreciate this part of the mind cosmovision, which is that everyone has their nawal, so their sign, which is their energy, and therefore everyone has a different energy. And so some people are born healers. That is their nature. Their purpose is to offer healing. I believe everyone has an ability to self-heal and to provide healing for others, but some people, that is their purpose. And others are due to be teachers. They are great teachers, and others are warriors, and they should be the ones doing protests, perhaps. And so everyone has their specific energy, and in knowing that, then I can see my best friend doing something completely different to me and think, how wonderful for her. This is so her, you know, it suits her. And I can see that she's living her life. And I can see the beauty in that and not think, well, I should be doing more of that because that's not my Svadharma. That's hers. And I think that part of the Mayan cosmovision is really a message that I wish everyone could hear, the simplicity of that. You don't need to be living anyone's life but yours, because no one can live yours and you can't live anyone else's. Yeah, I think that's like one of the golden, because there is so much in the mind cosmovision,
It's
but
so much.
golden.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, yeah, I can really echo to this, and I'm studying a lot Mayan cosmovision and work with Akik and a few of Akik, the Mayan teachers, wisdom keepers, and then we're trying to learn Mayan cosmovision and really people, like astrology. Oh, I want to learn it, how it is. I think the most important thing is to understand that you have your unique path. You came with your responsibilities. And it's like, I do always, if I do the readings, and I always give the example because sometimes it takes time to process when you really start tapping into the corners of your soul, especially understanding that this is what you possibly wanted to do all your life, or you was feeling like that all your life, but you was trying to be like your best friend, or like the people who you see on social media and they are very successful, whatever it looks like. um, for you, it never gonna work because this is not your soul's path. This is not your dharma, as you said. This is not whatever religion we can call it. Is we have that unique DNA, and then we start owning it and embodying and understanding that life is not a competition. The flowers, they not compete in between. The trees, they not competing. We came here to support, to be part of the community. And, as you beautifully said about your sister, seeing her shining and all, sharing her fruits, and supporting her and being happy for her and feeding your fruits, like we need to feed our Nawali, our energy, to understand that energy, to be connected to that energy, and then life flows. Life flows with us being in community. Life flows being, understanding, oh, I thought I have to be a social speaker for millions of people, and I just kept focusing on that, but it just never worked. But because maybe your Nawali, your energy, or my Nawali is just being a healer and not being in a spotlight at all. But being so conditioned and thinking, having those embedded patterns of have to do more, have to be better. This, like, it's not even instinctual, it's just behavior pattern what we're trying to put ourselves in and live. This is what actually puts us in the trap, in the jail we build to ourselves. Oh my god, those lies.
Totally, yeah. And I think actually part of this current, I think it's, or that might be my projection, but it is an issue, is that social media has kind of like the algorithms make one thing good, one thing beautiful. For example, the concept that slim is better than heavier. And things like that can really prevent us from accepting ourselves, and they shouldn't prevent us, but they can. And so I really think that this cosmovision can help us recognize that actually there is no one energy that is better than the other. There is not one body type that is better than the other. There is not even a mind type, like I remember growing up thinking that being good at maths was better than being good at languages, because people who were good at maths were more intelligent. So I grew up thinking that I wasn't so smart. I could speak 3 languages from the age of 5, but I didn't think I was smart because I was never very good at maths. And so it took a lot of, growing up and evolving to see, like, actually, I'm not stupid as I thought I was, because my brain doesn't understand numbers like other people have abilities, natural abilities, perhaps. And so I love this, yeah, the this wisdom that comes from the mind cosmovision that is saying it's all necessary. But if you're all trying to take this role, then there is a lack of balance. If everyone is
Yeah.
trying to do the same thing, then we're missing a lot of important roles in the community. And ultimately, we are a global community, and we have perhaps many people not wanting to do their role. I'll share briefly. The first line of my Nawal, the first thing is suffering. And there are other people who have Nawales, like the first line is like abundance or joy. And I was like, suffering? That's the first word, the
That's
description
exciting.
I know of. That's great. And then I reflected on it and I was thinking, of course, to be a healer, you need to be willing to be in contact with suffering. You need to be open to suffering, to be intimate with suffering. And so rather than seeing it as a curse, why me? Why did I get suffering instead of abundance? I mean, I did go through that phase, but having
I
now
want to be Anik, all the abundance and ripening. It's like one of my teachers said, like, if I would have ability to choose the Nawal, I would be Khanil because it's just ripening and abundance. And then let's choose the number. It's funny, isn't it? How our ego, yeah. But it just makes so much sense, isn't it? You have to be connected to that suffering in order to help others, in order to expand your abilities, in order to come into the fruition in what you are. And also, I think it's like when my daughter, she's learning about Mayan cosmovision as well. She's in Guatemala now in pyramids doing sun course and having 40 days of silence. And but when we speak about Nawalis, and she always like, hmm, why I'm not that? Why I'm number four? Why I'm not number 12? Why I'm not number 13? You know, when we still have this conditioning, higher is better, isn't it? But when we start sitting more and more, speaking to the fire, receiving the messages and understanding, oh my God, this is my power. Why I'm trying to be not who I am when actually I can just shine my path brightly and feel good about it and honor others. Because I feel when we're trying to be like somebody else, we not only blocking our energy, we also lowering our vibration so we can help others to lift theirs because we kind of abandoning our power. Why we came here to create that balance. All the Nawalis in Mayan cosmovision all needed to have that balance on
Mhm.
this earth.
Okay.
And if we, of course, not many of us might walk that way, but I think when you start getting to know and diving deeper and connecting with this beautiful science, as I spoke with one of the nanas, it's like a science, isn't it? But not the science like a math, what we thought, like you said, yeah, for me, languages was easy at school, but I felt like, oh, I want to be better at math because you kind of want what you don't have. And what you naturally have is like, eh, it doesn't count almost because it's the programming. I think we so have such a deep rooting from our even our ancestors. They had so much suffering, and we continue carrying that line within us. But now is the time to shine. Now is the time to break those patterns. Now is the time to take our power back. And the power, not the power of accumulation, the power of how you can take less from the earth, how you can give back to the earth more. And I'm sure, you live by the lake, so you witnessing all what's happening there. For us moving on a boat, it's another mind-blowing way, just seeing. I just sometimes I just don't want to eat because I don't have access to, the foods with no packaging. I just don't want to buy packaged food, but like, okay, but I'm gonna need to eat something, and if I'm not gonna be on the land for certain, what I'm gonna do is like how to make this consumering less, how to make it work, how to give back to the earth without stop taking that much. It's finding the balance. And I think it's, like you said, working with yourself, not trying, to see how you live or how I am living or how your neighbor is living. Of course, if you see people putting plastics in just outside, so that's just not that's just not acceptable. But stop comparing yourself, but trying to find better version of yourself within each decision you make. The reminder in your head, in your subconscious, conscious mind, this connection to the elements, this connection to this earth, because we came here, we're not somewhere else. Well, we might be at the same time, but now we're talking here. We got those laptops, whatever came from the earth. It's Mama Earth. She's giving and giving to us. She's just creating more and more opportunities to share. So, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to ask you if there anything else you would like to share, if you feel there is a message or the invitation to people who are going to be tuning into this podcast. It's going to come out at the end of September or beginning of October. And yeah, maybe also let us know about your plans, how you're gonna share your medicine, and if you have any invitations, we're gonna put your websites and your contacts on the description. But take
Thank
the
you.
stage.
Um, I think the most important invitation to name it something would be to be kind to oneself and to one another. Pema Chodron, a wonderful author, she's a Buddhist monk, and she says, being kind doesn't mean that the ice caps won't melt. It doesn't mean that all wars will cease, but it means that there will be people that support each other. And so, the earth is getting hotter. There isn't peace in many places on earth at this moment. But if we can cultivate peace within ourselves and we can cultivate peace in our homes and in our communities, then we are contributing. So seeing the world as it is, accepting that the reality is a challenging one for many human beings, for many beings, because plants and insects and animals suffer too. But I truly believe that the best contribution we can make is to cultivate consciousness, awareness, kindness, compassion. And so any healing modalities that support that, any practices that support that, invest time, invest money if you have, but it doesn't need to be money. There is yoga on YouTube. There are people who offer donation-based classes. I know I do when I'm in Guatemala. My online classes, actually, I have one a week, but it is donation-based. And there are people who want to connect. There are many people who want to offer healing spaces. So whether it's a women's circle or a retreat, if you have the opportunity, from personal experience, I can say these are the best investments, not the shoes, not the weekend trip to an expensive city. Although they can be wonderful things to experience,
Yeah.
those will not be long-term investments, in my opinion. So really invest in your well-being. And if something takes away your peace, like maybe social media, I know it can do, do less of that. If certain relationships cause you more stress than bring you peace, then perhaps invest less energy in those things, because the world needs more loving people, more compassionate people, more peaceful people, rather than richer or more famous or slimmer, or I don't know, whatever society tells us is desirable. Um, I don't believe in that. So really, I would say that's my biggest little piece of advice from my own experience is to invest in everything that makes you feel more connected to the true you, not the idea of you. And on that note, we are offering teacher trainings. The one in November is practically full, so I don't want to promote that as an offering that we have
Yeah.
space for. But we will have a 300-hour in Panama next April. So next spring, that will be 28 days. And then the following November, we'll have another 200-hour in Guatemala. And for anyone who is interested, I believe you'll share my details. So we have an Instagram for our school, which is Breath Body Earth. So Breath Body Earth altogether. I no longer have a personal Instagram, which is lovely to live without. But you can find us on our website also, breathbodyearth.org, I believe. That is our yoga school, and all our offerings are there. We also have retreats, and we have an online offering often once a year. And we're always happy to hear from people, whether you have questions or are curious, even if you're not sure, you can write to us. And Rachel and I are the ones managing the school, and we're always happy to have conversations and answer questions.
Wow. Wow, sister. I just so it's such an honor to have you here and to be a part of your medicine, the channel how you can spread the medicine even more and allow people to hear it. Because, yeah, like, I don't want to go to dive into the social media way and whatever, for some people it works and it's fine. They chose it as whatever way. But the most important thing, I think, to choose you, to choose what serves you. The way you choose to heal, to invest in your well-being, sometimes maybe you want those shoes, buy those shoes, but if you if you need to go and find the deeper connection to your heart, find the ways, find a coach, invest in the retreat, whatever, go to the nature, go not to the places when we constantly being pushed into interaction with random people and all the energies, but when we can in the nature discover our own energy, finding those connections, being in a silence, like you said, silencing yourself. So being in those quiet moments when we can actually reconnect and understand who we truly are. And yes, it takes time and healing to come to that point. So, with this note, we want to close and invite you to find your own ceremony, own ritual, which brings you back to your heart, which brings you closer to your medicine and share it with the world. It doesn't have to be spiritual teacher, it doesn't have to be yoga teacher. It can be a mom, it can be a teacher at school, anything. But if this is your dharma, this is your path, this is the energy you the walk you came here to walk, and you just need to remember, we wish you to find that.
Yes, thank you so much, Becca, for organizing these conversations. I'm so grateful for you and everything that you are doing, and for inviting me to share this message of love with whoever will be tuning in with us. Thank you so much. Thank you to anyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sister.